Thanks everybody for joining. Before I start, let me introduce myself. I'm Tony De La Fuente, founder and CEO of Prowler. I'm going to be driving the whole session today. Of course, please feel free to add any question anytime during the session. We are going to talk about a lot of things, so we want to make sure you leave this session knowing everything you want to know. So use the Q&A session or even the chat if you want to, and have it open here as well. There is a lot of people from Prowler here, from the engineering team, product team. Feel free to ask any question because everybody is here also to answer your questions. So yeah, use the Q&A. Let me get it open here, the Q window. There we go. Here, I got it. So today we are going to do a pure live session. In some cases, we are going to probably use a quick video to fast forward the demo, but everything is ready for you to show. Nothing on a PowerPoint. Everything is working. Everything is really, almost everything is released. You will see also some stuff that we are going to release over the next days or weeks. So we are very excited to show a lot of cool things here that we are building. So I'm going to start with a full initial demo of Prowler, and then we are going to go through different dev tools, AI capabilities, compliance features, and many, many more things that you will see over the next 30 to 45 minutes. But again, feel free to ask any question. We have the whole Prowler team here to answer your questions. And thanks for joining, of course. So the first thing we wanted to start and to kick off the session is, of course, to show all new, existing and new at Prowler. Prowler Cloud is our SaaS services. We will tell at the end of the session the differences between Prowler Cloud and Prowler Open Source. But basically, most of the things that you are going to see here are available for everybody. And of course, you can create an account anytime and scan your infrastructure, your cloud infrastructure anytime. So I'm going to start doing a demo. But before the demo, I want to go to the documentation portal because it's a place where we add everything that we do at Prowler. So Prowler Docs is the most comprehensive place to learn about Prowler. So the first thing I wanted to talk is about the supported providers that we have right now today at Prowler, which is in terms of cloud service providers for infrastructure, cloud infrastructure, Alibaba Cloud, AWS, Azure, Cloudflare, Google Cloud, NHN, OpenStack, Oracle Cloud, and Scaleway as well. So for infra as code, we support, of course, the Terraform, CloudFormation, Docker files, etc. So a Prowler can do also that. For software as service, we support GitHub, both organizations and repositories, Google Workspace, LLM, Microsoft 365, MongoDB, Atlas, Okta. This is very new. This is new. And Vercel. And also we support Kubernetes. We support container images and registries. And for our cloud enterprise, we support VMware. We will talk more about this. But yeah, so remember the back of the days, the first days of Prowler, where we have a few AWS checks. And look at this now. And of course, you can see all the controls at Hub. Let me show you hub.prowler.com. So if you come to Prowler Hub, you can see all the compliance frameworks that we support, all the remediation checks and detection checks that we support, with all the details and everything you need to know, not only to run them, but also to learn about them. And also, at the end of the day, Prowler, MCP, and or any agent and Prowler is going to use Prowler Hub, the findings in Prowler themselves, and also Prowler, the Prowler documentation. So this is the whole universe of Prowler, where you can see everything that we do and how Prowler works in the open. Okay, so this is not like a black box stuff that you don't know what is really doing in your cloud. You always know what Prowler is doing because you can do this as well, of course. And actually, we have a session where you can use Prowler Studio to create your own detections. So let's go back to Prowler Cloud or Prowler, the UI. Okay, here you have when you create an account and you add your first providers. Of course, you have to go to providers and you can add any provider that is supported so far. We are adding providers pretty much every week and new controls. So here is where you can add stuff. For the Prowler Cloud and Prowler Enterprise users, you can add accounts through AWS organizations. This is a paid-only feature, okay? But yeah, you can also automate that in many different ways. You can create groups of providers in order to also assign permissions, view permissions, and many other type of permissions into different groups as you are adding more and more accounts or projects or clusters, subscriptions, etc. into Prowler. So in the new overview, or the overview that we have now, of course, we have a lot of information where you can filter by providers, you can filter by accounts of those providers. Remember, when we talk about accounts, we are talking about any type of way that you call the organization of your cloud provider. For Azure, for example, we are talking about subscriptions, right? Or projects for Google Cloud. So here you can see a resource inventory at high level where you can drill down into your resources in any cloud that you have, compliance, attack surface, of course, findings over time, services. And of course, you can go to see the latest findings in Prowler, the threat map, to see the different regions anywhere in the world. Of course, you can filter and see what's going on in those regions. The risk radar, risk pipeline, risk plot. You can see a lot of stuff here, but you will see later how you can build your own dashboard, of course, using Prowler AI, the cloud plugin that we are showing today. Also, you can go to compliance and see everything that has to do with compliance frameworks in your own cloud or in your different AWS accounts. See, you can see here AWS, you can see everything that you are scanning. The first thing that you are going to see is Prowler Threat Score, but also you will see CIS, you will see CSA, CMM, ENS in Spain, the FedRAMP, GDPR, HIPAA, pretty much anything that we have done over the last months and years into Prowler, but also the community is adding the ones that they need into the whole platform as well. So you can see here, Segnum Cloud, you can see for example, the Kisa from Korea, etc. So feel free to contribute because it's a JSON file. It's very straightforward to create those. We will see also why this is very important. In this case, Prowler Threat Score. So we have created Threat Score because we wanted to make sure everything that you scan has at least this covered. Like for IAM, authentication is properly configured, whatever cloud providers, right? Authentication is properly configured, authorization as well, and privilege escalation prevention. For attack surface, all the network infrastructure, storage, and application that you have exposed to the internet is known for you. Logging monitoring, same for logging, retention, and monitoring, that everything is properly configured, and encryption, transit at rest. Actually, if you go to something like, let's say, authentication, you can see all the controls that we covered for authentication. Let's say, okay, make sure you don't have hardware MFA, you have hardware MFA enabled for root. In this case, this is a fail, okay? This is a fail for this check in this, and we can get all the details of the check for the risk, of course, the remediation, the findings, the scans that where it was detected. And even if there is any event around this detection, like who did this, you can see that here in events. This is pulling, in this case, from CloudTrade, right? And if you want to go further, you can see here which other compliance frameworks this finding impacts, right? As you can see, we support so many of them. And also you can, of course, analyze this using Lighthouse AI, which is our AI capability, like not only in this case, a chat that where you can talk to your findings, you can talk to everything related to cloud security here, and even create remediation, right? Create the remediation steps and automate it. For example, whatever you want to do, you can also ask Prowler Lighthouse AI to create the PowerPoint, for example, if you want to show your CISO, right, about everything that you have to do. You will see some more examples later. So see here, how to do this with Terraform, how to prevent doing an SCP, and pretty much everything. So you can not only get the finding, but also you can get the remediation steps and the remediation plan directly from Prowler. You don't have to go anywhere else now, okay? And this is configured out of the box in Prowler Cloud. If you are using Prowler open source, you have to add your own configuration. In Prowler Cloud, we added with no additional cost OpenAI connected, but you can connect to your own Bedrock, any LLM through Bedrock, or any OpenAI compatible ones that you want to use. Of course, that is up to you. Of course, you can add business context if needed. Okay. More stuff, attack paths. So this is something very cool that we have added recently into Prowler. So we don't not only have deterministic findings, but also we can show the whole attack path around every single issue that you have in Prowler. So let me show you here in the demo account, for example, I'm going to run this one. Of course, you can run a lot of custom queries. We have added that. Actually, Alan or the team, please add the link of the custom queries, the advanced queries, to the chat for everybody to see, because this is super cool. So you can add any OpenCipher query here to get any information that you want from the connections between the resources in your cloud. In this case, I'm going to use a pre-baked query that is super powerful. So an Internet Expose EC2 instance with sensitive access to an S3 bucket, right? So let me show you this. Data classification, and then the sensitive. This is to isolate or to see information that is probably in production, right? Or you have a bucket with a proper taxonomy. So that is how we are running this query. So in this case, we see in the demo account, we have this instance, we have base S3 bucket that has this key and all the components of the attack path that are making this an incident, right? An actual incident. So you can see here the AWS policy. You can see here all the details. So let me click on the S3 bucket. Now, here we see all the findings. These are AWS Prowler findings. We can see medium, like the S3, for example, it doesn't have MFA enabled. So we can see the details of this finding like another finding in Prowler, right? The finding overview, all the details, the remediation, the findings in that this resource has as well. So it's beyond that. Of course, the scan that was detected, etc. Right? Even if you want to go directly to the AWS console to fix this stuff by ClickUps, or which is not a good idea, but you can do it. And you can click on here, and this is going to take you to the AWS console, to that resource, if you have the session open. Okay? All the details are here. Actually, also, you can see the resource in the resource view. And this is going to take us to the inventory or resource view. See, this is here, and we can see the resource with all the findings related to that resource, the metadata related to this resource. And this is super powerful because from the metadata, you can get the evidence of why this finding is an issue. If you are an auditor, this is a very good information. We are going to show something else about this in a bit. You can get also the tags from these events, etc. The resource view allows you to filter out by providers, accounts, and many other filters, as you can see, to actually get all the failed findings per resources. No matter what you scan, no matter which cloud, you are going to have that inventory here, okay? Of course, you can go through the findings. The new findings view is super powerful because you can filter out for a lot of different things. Let me show you, for example, AWS, this demo account, and severity, critical severity findings, okay? If you apply this filter, you can see here all the AWS ones. So let me show you this port 22. There are 6 findings, but 2 of them are failing, right? And 2 of them are actually a problem for us. So what we can do, of course, we can go and review them with all the details here, with, of course, the remediation, the findings in that resource, if there is something else, but also we can go here and mute it or send it to Jira if you have Jira configured, okay, which is supported, of course. This is the simple mute. Of course, you can mute one finding one by one or multiple ones if you select a few of them. See, you can add the expected fail and then the reason, and you can mute it if you want to, okay? You can go to the mute list configuration, and you can, of course, add the YAML file if you have your crafted mute list from the CLI, from Prowler CLI. It works exactly the same. But the simple mute is going to take it into account for the next, of course, next scan as well. So this is so far the findings, the resources. Remember, we have something else called alerts. So in the finding view, you have the option to filter for a lot of different options. As you can see here, in this case, we filter AWS, one account, and only critical. And I want to create an alert of this. And this is a paid only feature, okay? So you can create object findings, alert for AWS, demo account is critical finding. This is when do you want to get this alert? After every scan. And then who is going to be the recipient? I can send it to Amit, for example. Okay. And then I can send it to create. So this is going to send a beautiful email that you can get from like this one every time that is detected. Out of the box is every 24 hours, but of course you can run it manually at many different times. And the scheduler in Prowler, the scanner scheduler is coming soon. Also, we are working on that now. So this is the email alert that you can get. Okay. Of course, you can add any email that you want to as a recipient. Good so far? Good. So of course, we have a lot of more stuff like here in the integrations. Remember, you can create your own API key to connect pretty much anything to Prowler, like our MCP or many other tools to Prowler using the API keys, right? Super powerful. Remember, everything is exposed in the API. So api.prowler.com is where you have to go to connect with that token. And everything that you can do in Prowler is exposed in the API. It's super powerful API. So yeah, don't hesitate to use it for your integrations if you have to, like pulling results, even using AI, Prowler Lighthouse AI, whatever you need. All good. Okay, the next stuff that we want to show is going to be something very cool that we have done recently. If you come here to the Prowler repo, let me show you here. What is this? It is here. Prowler.com, Prowler Cloud Prowler. You can see something super cool that we have added recently, which is the GitHub action. So you can see the Prowler GitHub action, the official one in the marketplace. So you can add some configuration to make sure Prowler scans your code and you can prevent any deployment with insecure infrastructure even before it happens, right? We have a very cool repo here. This repo is an example that we have configured. You can see this as we have this as an example. Actually, I have realized, Pepe and the team, that this is an internal repo. So we have to make it public, right? In order to show people how it works. And something that we added recently into Prowler is the support of Sarif, the Sarif format. So with that, once you have the pipeline configured, you get these results, as you can see in the probably IAC scan, and you get the alerts here. See the full report here. Wait 1 second. 1 sec. Then you see this here. See, you get all the results. So having the outputs in Sarif, GitHub gets the outputs directly and gets all the findings from Prowler into GitHub format, as you can see here. Okay, you have this open and all the information here, including the fix and everything. See, super cool, right? This is the official GitHub action of Prowler that is available for everybody right now, and you can take advantage of it. Next. So the next is something about AI, of course, something about Cloud Code and Prowler working together. And I'm going to hand over my colleague to show you how to install the plugin, how to use it, and how to fix stuff later with Manuel as well. Okay. Yeah, Ruben, you can go ahead and share.
Thank you, Tony, for the presentation. And I'm Sherry. Hi, I'm Ruben, and I'm here for explaining what Tony was telling. I think you are seeing my screen right now. Yeah. So here is what Tony was telling, Cloud Code. I bet that everybody here knows Cloud Code, that terminal agent that is helping everybody writing their code right now. So what we want to do in Prowler is helping not just for code and also helping with your cloud security issues. So how we are doing that is using Cloud Code plugins. That is a way to extend the capabilities of Cloud Code. For that, the requirements for using this is very straightforward. Plus subscription to Cloud Code, obviously. a Prowler Cloud account and an API key to give access cloud code to your Prowler Cloud account. So let's start with installation. That is very easy. You can go here to our docs page, search for Prowler for Cloud Code, and with those two commands, just open a terminal with Cloud Code and pass. This first command is for adding the Prowler marketplace. That is the way that Anthropic wants us to give you a plugin that is self-hosted in our GitHub repo. So that's why it's here that is cloning the repo, refreshing the marketplace. It could take just a minute or less, usually, depends on internet. And after that, we can install the plugin. Then the plugin right now comes with two things for this first version, but we will continue iterating it. That the first thing is the MCP. If you go to here to our documentation, you can see everything about the MCP server. That brings you the capabilities. So here it loads already. So it says install for your user, for your repository. I'm installing for the repository, and it asks for the AP key needed for the MCP server. So you just save the
That is,
configuration.
Ruben, just one second. That is the MCP server, but that key, API key is the API key to access the
It's
Prowler
the
Cloud
API.
API, right?
Yeah, it's for the application that you need to connect. In fact, if you don't use it, you can use with Prowler Hub or Prowler documentation. And now that everything is installed, we have to reload the plugins. And here in documentation, we can follow it and see if everything is well configured. We can go to here /MCP and
Yeah,
check.
something important to highlight here, I think, is that the Prowler MCP has multiple tools behind, right? And one is talking to Prowler Hub. So Prowler MCP knows everything that Prowler can do based on Prowler Hub. The second is the Prowler documentation, right? So it's a Prowler experts in all means. Also, the customer, the user findings as well. So it's everything together. That is all the tools that you can get through the APIs and everything on the MCP.
In fact, to see if everything is well configured, is just to comment, and you can go here to the MCP and view the tools that you already commented, Tony. Everything is here, and to see if the plugin is working, just go here, see that the marketplace is added, and browser for the plugin that is here, everything. So now, to continue with explanation, we have also added a skill to help Cloud Code to understand better the compliance, because as Tony showed us, you will have compliance for multiple providers, but sometimes it's difficult to fix everything, know for where to start. You just want to be compliant with something. For this example, we are calling for the help of the Cloud Code to be compliant with AWS demo account, to be compliant with the latest version of CIS that I don't know, but AI will know for sure that in this case is version 6, and it is searching for here. I can expand the everything that the agent is doing, and is searching in our Prowler Cloud application, or tenant, Prowler Hub information, or documentation for helping us to remediate all the findings and finally be in compliance with everything. So this can take a time for writing the document. I can explain what is doing here better, because here in the documentation that you need.
Yeah, pretty much we can ask anything that based on your findings, based on your exposed resources, the severity of any finding, how to fix it, the relation between those findings, all that stuff is what we can do through, natural language, of course, but we can go beyond that, right? Because there are two options or two modes of running this. Is if you can go back to the documentation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here.
Cloud assisted and cloud autonomous. What are those? What is the main difference between those?
The first or the default is okay. I want cloud help me, but I don't want it to touch directly the infrastructure or anything because I don't know what it is doing. So I prefer to have the full control of everything, and Claude just tell me the commands, tell me the documentation, the best practice. Or if you want the YOLO mode and it fix everything, you don't have to worry about. And it's not that YOLO because it asks you for risky things or things that are not clear. But this is safer than this, but this obviously is quicker because cloud is doing everything for you.
But point something important here. Remember, cloud is doing stuff for you based on the deterministic results that you get from Prowler. It's not inventing stuff, but of course you have to review what cloud is doing for you, and also you have to give cloud the enough permissions to make those changes. So to do those any change directly in the cloud is not a good practice. The good practice is what we are going to show you later, which is of course changing the infrastructure as code. So fixing the stuff in the infrastructure as code instead.
Exactly. Exactly. Here it's, I don't know if it's finished. This is the where we are working. It creates a .prowler folder when it's going to store everything that it's doing to make if you finish this session, because if you have, for example, I don't know, 300 findings to solve, maybe you don't want to solve in just one conversation and you want to split in different days. To keep track of that, of the progress, it is writing a compliance report that you can watch everything that is fixing, everything that it fails, and it is useful for it also for in the future remember what it already done. So that is the most tedious part, I think, writing the full compliance report. And yeah, everything is in our repo right now. So if you want to extend or send some feedback, you can install right now using the two commands that I put. And we are open to PR issues in GitHub or in our Slack community to help with new workflows, new skills, everything that is useful is always accepted for sure.
Nice. Cool. Yeah, let's see if it's finished.
Yeah.
If not, if you can show the MD that you had before.
Yeah,
Or
I can
for the sake of
show
time.
this. And
Okay, yeah.
at the end is this. Is here in our repo, in the Cloud Plugins Prowler, we have this skill, and here is where are explaining, because Cloud Code is designed to great good code, but for assessment and security is not that good. So if we give it the right guardrails and best practice, and hey, this is the way that you have to use Prowler, because Prowler is really good at cloud security and it already prefers if you don't have anything configured. But here is our way that we investigate of how cloud security should be done in a secure way using it is a really important thing. So it's just a Markdown file explaining your workflow. That here is what I was telling. Here is how I am explaining. Hey, the compliance report, it has to be in this way with this status. This is the report template that you have to follow always to have.
As you can see, we have written like the guardrails, all the prompts that we have to launch to Cloud Code in order to have a proper outputs, custom reports, and everything. Good. And now, thank you. Yeah, we can see here how to fix everything. Yeah, that is
Here
super
it's
powerful.
yeah, you can go with mixed and the cloud assist. Yeah, I think it's already created. Yeah, you can go to .prowler compliance, and here is all that is failing, the state, how it's going to be fixed, and everything. So I think with
Yeah.
that's all done. Just you test it and tell us how it's going.
Yeah, thank you, Ruben. So we can go even farther with this approach. So now we are going to see another or an additional way using the plugin, using the connector to not only detect and remediate from the CLI, but also beyond that. Manuel, yes?
Yes, thank you, Tony, and thank you, Ruben. And good afternoon to everybody. I wanted to show you, we went through everything that Prowler can do on the dashboard. We went through what Ruben was showing us on what the MCP server can do for you guys. It's the magic behind everything. But I wanted to show you something where you can get creative. When we use Cloud, the integration that Ruben was showing us, we can create dashboards that are pulling the data just as Tony explained. It's the data from Prowler Hub. It's the documentation that we have on Prowler, docs.prowler.com. And it also the findings that we have on certain scans. So we can create a prompt. Actually, I have that prompt that I can share with, we can make it public. And the prompt, the idea is for a report or a dashboard that you can show your teammates, your team, your security team, maybe even your leadership. You can have it automated so it can update itself every time. Or maybe you're working with third-party customers. Maybe this is a dashboard that you can share with them so they can see what the status of their accounts are. As you can see here, we can customize it. We can use our own, I don't know, maybe a logo for our company. We can name it as whatever we want. We can have some links to refresh it, seeing GitHub. Where's the next refresh? Remember that scans on Prowler are every day right now, or the initial scan when we onboard a cloud provider. So this is when the next scan is going to be, so you can refresh it. You can see how many cloud providers we have. This is something that our customers have told us we want to personalize our dashboard. So maybe you can find ways to move around your widgets so you can personalize them, right? You can move them back or move it up and down. And you can have all the severity breakdowns in your findings. I want to show you here how we have this is a very small account that I'm monitoring. We have 2 critical findings, but this is something pretty interesting that I have been asked by several customers on how can we see what the benefit will be if I fix these issues, right? So maybe we can have a button here that says, what if I fix these 2 critical findings, like an ROI, so to speak. So you can click it, it'll tell you it's simulated, and you'll see how your threat score is increasing, right? And you're seeing less 2 failed checks, 2 more passed. And this may not make a lot of sense right now because it's just 1 account and 2 findings. But picture you have 10, 15 accounts with hundreds of critical findings, then you can see what happens when you're fixing those issues, right? You can click back on it and you'll see how the current state is. This graph right here, you can hover over it and you'll see, for example, I have it here on the last 30 days. You can see how many critical findings have been adjusting. You can filter those, remove lows, or maybe just straight critical, and you'll see how many criticals you've been having. That's where you can see the remediation process with your teams, right? Another cool thing that you have, and this is something that was shown by Ruben, you'll see all the critical findings. Maybe I have top 10 right here, right? But I only have 2 criticals. You can click over here, you'll see what the issue is. You can add as much information as you want. You can have the ARN. For example, if we're speaking about an AWS account, what the ARN of the resource is. You can maybe click on it so it can take you to Prowler Hub documentation where this check is being reviewed and what the issue is. And you can see the remediation steps to fix it. You can follow them manually. And this is something that, or you can have this option that it was spoken before, where you can have, like Tony said, the best practice is to have infrastructure as code. So maybe you can ask it to create you can connect to your GitHub MCP server, and then basically define what the repository is. You can program it to be default, or you can edit it so it'll create it. You can have all the information here. You'll see the steps, and you can submit it to GitHub here. And then it'll take you to a pull request, right? You can scroll down. I have a few that I was testing before, but you can scroll down, see all the information, and you can even see what the changes on the files are for the infrastructure as code files that you're going to ask to be pulled and merged into your main branch. So you can fix this basically almost automated. This dashboard is basically configurable 100%. You can use the colors that you want, the logo that you want. You can show whatever widgets you want, and you can change anything on it based on what your own company's or customer needs. So this is what I had, Tony.
Yeah, that is amazing. This is dashboard as a service, right? Through Prowler Lighthouse AI, to Prowler MCP. So super, super cool to have for anybody to have their own outputs, their own information. But not only, as you all can see, Prowler not only comes with findings and with the relation between findings, but also comes with the remediation, and you can automate the remediation. Of course, you have to put the human in the loop. So don't allow anything to fix straight away your cloud, at least not today, probably tomorrow with Prowler one day. But to automate the whole cycle today is possible with, of course, with Prowler. So next step, so next demo. So we have, of course, more than 2,000 checks now that generates a lot of findings. But what if you want to create your own check? Do you want to create even your own provider, etc.? So for that, we have Prowler Studio, and we have released Prowler Studio version 2. And Hugo is going to show us how it works, and if you want to create a new check for whatever provider, for whatever new service that comes up, so you can do it. Hugo, over to you.
Okay, can you hear me? And can you see my
Yeah, we
screen?
can hear you and see your screen.
Perfect. Hi everyone, I'm Hugo and I'm gonna talk, as Tony said, about Prowler Studio. As many of you should know, we had Prowler Studio before, and the objective was probably the same, to be able to create checks easily for those remediations that we don't currently support. So if you find a security gap and we don't cover it, having an easy way to make that automation for that detection or that remediation as well. Before, Prowler Studio was a modular model agnostic AI toolkit, basically based for a chatbot where you could speak to it and ask him to create some new check, but we didn't manage to get the point of precision that we wanted from them. So we had to think about how could we improve this, which things we could do to make and achieve the level of quality that we expect for ourselves as developers. And we ended up creating and enhancing Prowler Studio and evolving it to become an agentic workflow. As you can see here, Prowler Studio 2.0 is an agentic workflow based with Cloud Code, where we have several guardrails and best practices, so the checks that it creates matches the quality we expect from us, our developers. This new tool is so powerful that is the one that we are currently using to develop our new checks and providers, so it's mostly tested by us, and if we can use it to create the checks, everyone can. So I'm gonna teach you how it works very quickly. The problem was that creating checks in an easier way, but also with a good quality. And the solution is this tool with this quick and easy installation. You just have to, on the repo, you can do UV sync and all the dependencies will be installed, and then you activate the environment needed with a simple command. Simple as that, ready to go. The only thing you need is a ticket now for it to work. Instead of speaking to it, you create a well-detailed ticket. We're going to give more details about it later, and specify what you want from the check, what you want it to check, all the details that you know as a security expert. Maybe you don't have the capability to code, but you know exactly the problem you want to solve. So this tool is perfect for you to just specify everything in a ticket that can be in a Jira ticket as well, or a GitHub issue, and then just execute. Let's go through the tickets, shall we? I have here the markdown. Essentially, all of them are markdown, and you can specify the provider, the service. You can even, it's optional, but suggest a check name, the context that goal for the check you want to create, the expected behavior, when you want it to pass, to fail, even specify some manual cases so you don't flag false positives if you know that there are specific limitations, some exclusion, references, API if you want. This is already optional. Cloud Code will try to figure out by itself, and it does pretty well where to obtain the information from, and then some suggested severity if you want. This is optional as well, and additional implementation notes. In this case, we were playing around with some quantum computing checks in Prowler, and I wanted to show you that here. So I have this prepared ticket where we explain one of those checks, right? So if this is for AWS LBV2, when we want the LBV2 listeners to have post-quantum computing TLS enabled. So we post this name here, we set the context and the goal, why this is important, expected behavior. We want it to be a pass when it has some of these post-quantum policies active, fail otherwise, no manual is applicable here, and I also add here it to be configurable, so just for making it a bit more complicated and see if the studio did it right. And then some references and other information that I said is just optional, but the most you paste here, the most that the check will be similar to this. This can be also done with Cloud Code. You don't even need to do this hand. You can just obtain information and make it create this. In fact, I made this with Cloud Code as well. And then you just execute it. We save it, you go to the Prowler Studio. This is a video because it's a bit too long. It's like 10 minutes, but for me, I have to show this quicker even, so I don't have the time. You start the environment, you pass the ticket, in this case as a simple markdown, and it starts. It's divided in several specific and professional agents, each one for its phase. So we have here the check implementation phase, that is the first one, where it will create the metadata with all the information we passed. The check file itself, where it will create the detection for the automation of the detection. And then, well, it's basically we have to test then the check created. So we have another phase, the stage 2 testing, where it will create the test and run them. As you can see here, it has up to 5 attempts to do this. So it will iterate until it achieves it or rejects it, and then jumps straight to the compliance mapping, the stage 3, where it will look for several checks and through all compliance frameworks and requirements and trying to match them. And it works extremely well. It will check also for similar checks that have been already mapped to see if there are correlations. In fact, is what this example is doing. And we can see when it finishes that it has to go through 20 requirements modified across 14 compliance frameworks, which is awesome.
Yeah, this is super powerful because you're not only creating just the check, but also the tests and also updating any compliance framework around that test, that check.
Yeah,
So this is when we talk about the deterministic universe of detections and revelations at Prowler. This is what we are talking about. This is not like magic. So we create high quality checks and detections.
It's automated. So in every phase, you have the workflows, as we talked, that ensure that everything is not out of the scope and everything is it should be. Then we have also this part where you have this QA that the AI does itself with another agent, and it's all perfect. And then the final part, which is the PR creation of that check, all with the simple starting prompt.
Hugo, can you move fast forward to the PR creation probably?
Yeah, it's just here.
Okay, perfect.
This is the created PR where you have
Awesome.
everything done as we want it in Prowler, all perfect, all changed, with all the compliance mapping done, with the configurable of the check that I asked before. So everything just fine, ready to review for us and straight to be shipped.
Great. You can do bulk checks creation as well, right?
Yeah, if you have an epic in Jira with hundreds of checks, you just can ask an agent to execute them. So it will start and iterate over them, having all them.
That's great. Yeah, super powerful. Yeah, we will show also in 2 weeks or 3 weeks from now, we will show how to create also providers and everything in an automated way. Good. Thank you, Hugo. Super powerful tool, the Prowler Studio. I mean, we have 12 minutes. So Pedro, now is your turn to show what is coming for compliance, which is super powerful. You have 2 minutes, man. Otherwise, we don't have time.
Okay.
We are going to get to the hours. Okay.
Okay, let me share my screen real quick.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So here we're gonna show you what is coming for compliance in Prowler. So as you can see here, we have 3 providers with a valid scan for each one. If we go to the compliance tab, now we are trying to go one step more with AI. So the thing is that now you can generate AI insights for certain compliance, for certain scan, for certain provider again. And this is something that we are doing in hoc. It will take us like 12 to 20 seconds. It's something that it's generated shortly. And at the end of the day, we wanted something, and we wanted a tool that helps us to prioritize the stuff that we are getting with the common Prowler compliance scan. So as you can see here, we have a small summary, this can iterate to generate a PDF report of some slides or something like that. If we go to the remediation tab, once that we retrieve all the findings or the filing requirements, we can generate a fix for certain requirement in different formats. For example, in this one, we are generating a fix in a CLI format. And the thing is that as we are retrieving all the finding information with the resource name, the resource ERN in case of AWS, we're gonna put the CLI code just for this resource for certain finding. So as you can see here, we have the full information that will fix this finding. And something else, real quick, for the compliance part too, is that we are adding now a new view, that is the cross-provider view for a certain compliance. In this case, we are getting an scan for multiple providers in AWS, Azure, GCP, but this provider, this compliance, the CCM, is supported by Alibaba Cloud and Oracle Cloud too, okay? The thing is that inside this view, we are gonna retrieve all the findings information that we are getting to Prowler, but in a single view. This way, for example, if you have a production environment with multiple sort of providers, or maybe multiple accounts, you will get all the information inside the same view in order to prioritize your stuff and get your findings fixed. So if we go, for example, to this CloudWatch or this S3 bucket, something that we recently added to is the resource metadata and evidence tab here for the finding, where you can check the actual evidence of the requirement. That is something that we're adding to in a near future to the PDF report, because at the end of the day, we wanted to have like the actual information from the finding, from the resource, in order to ensure that we are flagging that as a file as a bus. So
this is
real
super
quick,
helpful because when it comes to an auditory, you can get the evidence straight from Prowler, and you don't have to take screenshots or anything. You get that from the Prowler repo.
yeah. So that's pretty much everything on my side.
Yeah, super powerful. Yeah, also another very good, cool feature. And last section, we had two more sections, but we don't have time, so we will need to discuss about the new way to build the product that we switch from Poetry to UV. We will have a developer focus session in 3 weeks from now. So the last part is going to be about what's next. So, and I want to my colleague Amit to join me to talk about what's next and the main differences between Prowler Open Source, Prowler Cloud, and Prowler Enterprise. Amit?
Yeah, thanks, Tony.
There you go.
Hope you can see my screen, right? So we can
Yep.
start with what is the difference. So Tony has covered multiple features. Everybody in the team has covered multiple features. So there are some differences between Prowler OSS, Prowler Cloud, Prowler Enterprise. It all is started, Tony created Prowler Cloud, Prowler OSS project, and the team has built over the years on that. So if you look at it comprehensive, all three products have, it's built on the same engine, right? So the question so it has all the public providers, AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, Oracle, Alibaba, containers, Kubernetes, Cloudflare, Vercel, right? So all this is available in as well as Prowler Cloud and Enterprise. The question that OSS leaves you is who runs it, who manages it, who secures it, who makes it actionable across your teams. And this is exactly where Prowler Cloud jumps in. Prowler Cloud answers this question. So we run it, we manage it, we secure it, we make it a platform. So things like the major differences that I can see is AI, Lighthouse AI, agentic assistant, things that Ruben showed, Claude plugin, remote MCP server, or autonomous remediation that comes with Prowler Cloud and Prowler Enterprise. Second, it becomes a real platform. So all the APIs, full API access, send finding from CLI to Prowler Cloud. So you have centralized visibility in Prowler Cloud and notifications. So email is already there. That sort of leads into the next section, what next? But Slack and Teams are coming. Threat validation through external from attackers' point of view, what is indeed open. So that is in Prowler Cloud and Prowler Enterprise, which is our integration through Census. Prowler Enterprise difference, like it's a extreme of customization. So if you want to run Prowler within your VPC, within a region that you want a very custom provider that only you need, then we are coming up with Prowler Registry, which you would be able to run and which will create custom providers, custom check, custom compliance, all that power to you. And of course, the support and services, enterprise support, white glove, and dedicated technical account manager. So that's in a nutshell as a summary. What's the difference between Prowler Cloud, Prowler OSS, and Prowler Enterprise? For the security consultants in the community or MSP, MSSPs, we have a partner portal. So you can provision your end customers, you can do consolidated billing across your customer base. So we have a separate use case for you guys. So contact us for any of these. And Prowler Cloud is the most popular version. This is where almost all the teams land up and they scale with Prowler Cloud. So with that in mind, what's coming up next? So there's a lot of flexibility that Prowler provides you, right? Like CLI, custom checks. So you can take Prowler source code from GitHub, which is all free. You can run it, you can extend it, you can customize it, and you run it. So our customers wanted a lot of these things in Prowler Cloud. How do you get that customizability within Prowler Cloud? So a lot of things that we have here, which says Prowler Cloud, Prowler Enterprise features such as Slack and Teams, that is coming up next. Email is already there in Prowler Cloud, Prowler Enterprise. Run custom checks from UI. We have scanner configurations, right? There's a lot of configuration that you mentioned in config file. We will have an option to do it within the UI from Prowler Cloud and Prowler Enterprise. Customize schedule scan. So you can, when you add a provider, you would be able to tell at which point of time this scan should run on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, in 48 hours. You can specify the hour and minute on which each scan can schedule. Then we have triage workflow bringing into Prowler. So you can set in a status on a finding. Is it open? Is it in progress? Is it you are not going to fix it because you accept a risk? These sort of status so you can easily track how your findings are being resolved. So that is coming up in Prowler Cloud, Prowler Enterprise. Another feature enhancement for Jira integration that is coming up. You can send multiple findings, multiple resources, and track it as one ticket. Right now, it'll create one ticket for each finding. So that's, you can get a proliferation of tickets. So to make that workflow easier, we are sending you can attach multiple finding groups to a Jira ticket. So what I want to be very mindful of time. We only have 2 minutes left, and I want to give some time back to Tony to address any questions. But this is just covering next 2 sprints. So it is not like future of Prowlers. It's like what is coming up right after in the next 2 sprints. So with that, back to you, Tony.
Yeah, thank you, Amit, and thank you, everybody. Yeah, now it's time for questions. We have 2 minutes, but we can extend it if needed. It's great to see all I hope you see the value of all the new features that we have released recently, everything that we are building. So you can see that we are releasing new stuff every week. I'm growing, and from here to Black Hat in Vegas, we are going to add many more cool features. Yeah, so we had a lot to talk about. We didn't even have enough time, but super happy to answer any question. We will share the recording. Yes, everything is being recorded, so we will share the recording. And yeah, happy to keep the conversation open. So please go. Let me add here the URL to join our Slack, prowler.com/Slack. So with that URL, you can join our Slack. You can find anybody from the Prowler team over there. You can send a welcome message. You can send a DM to any of us. Happy to keep the conversation. And yeah, so play with everything that you have and ask any question now. Yeah, I see some raised hands. So if you want to ask questions, or you can type it, or you can unmute yourself. Probably, I don't know if you can. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, again, you can find it find us in our Slack. You can also open a ticket, an issue in on GitHub. Anything you need, you know where you can find us. So yeah, looking forward to talk to you in a month at least from now to show you more cool stuff happening at Prowler. Thank you, everybody, and see you soon.